Welcome to another edition of Survival Mode, where we give entrepreneurs a step-by-step roadmap to starting their own business. I'm Bert Robinson.
I'm Kevin Beers.
I'm Michael Grant Jr.
You can reach us by email at hello@survivalmode.live or check out our website at www.survivalmode.live. Let's get to it. Welcome back to another edition of Survival Mode. We are in step number 6. And now we're going to be talking about, we've done operational, we've talked about the different phases that we're going to be going into more details coming up in the next couple of steps. But now, I'm really sorry that I'm going to have to break the news to you. But building your business is not all flowers and rainbows. Not all flowers and rainbows. I don't know where I came up with that one. But we haven't even opened yet, and already we're looking at what problems can happen. A whole bunch. Now, Kevin, we've seen businesses have some interesting things go on, okay, in reference to operational. Now, we've done several events. Now, me being a radio announcer and things of that nature, I've done several events with you. And one of the things that I know you're a stickler on is how something sounds. You and I both are on that. We went to an event in Northern Virginia. And how was that?
I absolutely hated it.
Wait.
Because
wait a minute. Okay. All right.
The thing was, the event itself was not bad.
Mm-hmm.
What I hated about it was that the sound system, there was no possible way it was tested ahead of time because the sound was terrible. It was way too loud. It was very distorted. It had an orchestra and singers, and the orchestra overpowered the singers. You couldn't hear the words to the music. It was, no one tested that out, or they tested it somewhere else, but didn't test it in the venue where it was being done.
So wait a minute, Kevin. So you're talking about testing?
Yes, absolutely.
What? Why do I need to test? Kevin. Okay, I tested that morning. Okay.
Right.
And it sounded okay to me. I'm being facetious now. You know that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So the testing, you want to test everything. Like if you put a procedure together, test the procedure. Does the procedure actually do what you wrote down it was going to do? Or did it create some kind of a bottleneck? Or did it actually not work at all? I mean, there's a lot of possibilities. We use the one example all the time. I went to a charity event. You could give online. All you had to do was scan the QR code. No one tested the QR code because it didn't go to a website to donate money. It didn't go anywhere. It wasn't a proper QR code. No one tested it. If you're setting up your business and let's say you hand out cards that say, hey, to get a discount, just scan this QR code, but that QR code doesn't work. My thought is, well, if they don't do this right, how will they do the rest of their business right? I mean, you start one, and it isn't that people consciously think that, but whenever there's a problem, you recoil from that. So psychologically, you're like, this business doesn't sound right, or there's something wrong, and maybe it was just one mistake. But if there's multiple mistakes because you didn't test things out, yeah, now you start wondering. As a matter of fact, I'll give you another example. I was watching a YouTube video yesterday, and they did this really cool thing with, they put the words up on the screen that were actually being said, and then they colored the background, and the color comes down, and the words are bold, and it really makes it easy to read. Well, they didn't test it completely because half the time the words disappeared when it came down. It's like you created this video and you didn't check it before you put it online. So that's just one more example of not going through your work. I mean, now I would say people are going to come to the website, check out our videos. And if I missed anything in the editing process, actually do that and tell me about it, because I will fix it.
Now, Michael, what does that say to you about the person starting the business, the owner of that business? What does it tell you about that person?
What it tells me about them is that they don't understand. You lack understanding because, as Kevin mentioned, these issues can be interpreted or associated with your integrity or your character in regards to the business. So you want to avoid as many mistakes as possible, especially if it's very evident. If it's very evident and you know that, people are going to say, man, like, come on, like, I can see, something based upon capacity going wrong, but something that's based upon simple testing that, a plug-in or a check of 10 minutes, so yeah, it really weighs on one thinking about the person's character integrity and or the nature of the business. So you got to be careful about this kind of stuff here. And that's, it goes back to the P's. If you map out the P's and
Mm-hmm.
if you put things in place and if you test the P's, it will show you if something is not working or not. This when people say why most businesses fail, I tell them it fails because of a lack of structuring. And the reason why I say it is because your structure will always identify what it needs and it will always show and display the problems.
All right. Now you can reach us at survivalmode.live. That's our website, or go to our email and send us an email, hello@survivalmode.live. Now, all of these things that we all have been talking about basically is you haven't taken care of step number 5. Step number 5, we talk about establishing and building your business credibility. This is part of your business credibility. You have to be credible. The things that you do have to be credible. You got to make sure you handle your business. That was step number 5. And because you did not handle it, this is a pitfall that can cause you to go all over the place and spend extra money and things of that nature. And this leveraging everybody, it's important, right, guys?
100%.
Now, Kevin, how did you? I mean, when you did that QR code. Now, knowing you, you tried to figure out what went wrong, right?
Well, I actually knew what it was as soon as I looked at it. It didn't take a lot of figuring.
Oh, it was that, and that's something that was very simplistic, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's very simple to do, but once you do it, just test it. It honestly, if they had put an extra 20 seconds into the process of the QR code, they would have found it immediately, and they would have regenerated the QR code.
I think it's so important. Now, Michael, in terms of what we're doing and the pitfalls, what are some of the other pitfalls that you've seen?
Um, it's the principles of what we're talking about. It's not testing the P's. Your place and your platform, that's pretty easy because that's concrete. That's where and how you're going to do business, however you decide. But your personnel, your policies, your procedures, your different programs, all those different things need to be tested. It
Well,
needs to be vetted.
how am I going to? Okay, now see, you said the right word, vetted, because I was going to
Yeah.
say, how am I going to test my personnel? You test your personnel by vetting your personnel.
Yeah, and you vet them with soft openings. You vet them with tests, with
Mm-hmm.
questionnaires, with quizzes. Ask them about the menu. Ask them about the procedures on how you deal with the customers. Ask them, how does this happen? How does this happen? What if this happens? You give them case scenarios and see how they respond to it. Well, I'll take care of it by doing this, blah, blah, blah. And that will determine how they interpret it, how they understand the policies, the procedures, etc.
But if they don't have if an entrepreneur does not have that, okay, if they don't have the wherewithal to, you know, test the personnel, where do they go?
That's a great question. they need to go back to themselves and they need to go to their standard operating procedures and they need to identify these things. And let me say this, it sounds daunting, it sounds intimidating. Here's a quick example of this. You can do a quick video on a phone stating, I would like for this to happen. I would like for you to take care of the customers this way. This is how we do this. This is how we do that, et cetera, et cetera. And then somebody else can come and actually write the stuff down. You work through whatever issues you have, but you try to make sure that you identify each and everything that you need before you need it, because you're going to need to be on point.
Michael, that's a lot of work, man. That's a lot of work.
Take it from there.
Okay, I was going to jump in on that.
Thank you.
Basically, all this time we keep saying you're building a network, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you don't know how to do something, call somebody in your network and ask them how they did it, because your network is built with entrepreneurs. So just give them a call and say, "Hey, I'm trying to figure out if these workers are going to be good. How do you vet your employees?" And entrepreneurs would be willing to tell you that.
I was going to say where they can find out the information, but I'm not going to say that right now. I'm going to leave that alone.
Let me jump in. They can get it from us, from Survival Mode, okay? survivalmode.live or hello@survivalmode.live. And let me say one more last thing before we go. If you see somebody that's doing something very well that's similar to you, that's in another state, that's non-competing, call them up. They're not competition because they're too far from you. They might be willing to help.
Now that's
a little secret.
You see, you tell everything. I tell you, we can't keep you anywhere. Take you anywhere as well. Okay, I tell you. Well, look, we'll be back next week. We're going to be talking about step number 7, and that's marketing. So beware. Kevin's going to tear it up. See you next week. You've been listening to Survival Mode, where we give entrepreneurs a step-by-step roadmap to starting their own business. You can reach us by email at hello@survivalmode.live or check out our website at www.survivalmode.live, where you'll find help to start your own business and personal financial guidance. You'll also find a library of our previous shows. We'll see you the same time next week.